Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today's Sunday chat, we'll go over the stuff to do with probate and selling the house, and that'll be quick. We're moving. I don't mean we're moving house. Things in here are going to have to move. I'll explain why, so we'll do that. We're not only going to talk about that, we're actually going to do it. And in addition to that, I'll explain the ghost video that some of you found, and I'll explain how that happened. It wasn't exactly a mistake, it was an oversight, but we'll go over that. And we'll have a look at some orchids. A sort of progress update on things that may be going to bloom in the not too distant future, that haven't bloomed before, and things like that. Yeah, so without further ado and all that nonsense, let's get started. Okay, you can see the basic problem. I need access to that door. From now on, this is times per day, not just once a day, many. I've already had 2 coffees out in the garden with the cats, letting them have a wander round, so access to this door is now a permanent thing. And I don't want to keep moving lots of stuff to be able to get at said door. Now, this set of shelves lived in front of the door, so that was always destined to move. And quite honestly, it was always destined to go against that back wall. Well, at the moment, the 2 mobile racks for the mounted orchids sit against there, but they both don't need to. So first job really is move the mat, because that will catch the wheels. That's my mat, so that when I go in and out of there, I can wipe my feet before I get to the lounge. That needs doing. It's not my carpet, is it? I've got to look after it. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one out and swing it round. So it's moving a straight line quite well, but when you want to turn them, the wheels often catch. But I don't move them that often. This is not a big deal. Right, now this is a bonus. This wasn't planned, but all of the shelving has got like the end of a rod as its foot, which could leave marks on this floor, which I would be then in trouble for. Probably have to pay for a new one. So I put the little drip trays under each leg, and the bonus is they now slide quite easily too. So this is coming over here. Now I'm stuck, aren't I? That was well thought out, wasn't it? I need to be this side of it, don't I? We need to push, not pull. Turn it round. Now I need to be able to get at the shelves that are already here, which, that's fine. I can get to there. I can get to all of that. Now my lander bucket used to live in front of the door, so it can't live there anymore. The place it's probably best to be is here. Well, at least for now anyway. And we still haven't finished. This can stay where it is. In fact, it can push it a bit further, closer to the glass. So we've still got this to deal with. That's still got to go somewhere. And I think this is going to have to be a mobile rack. And depending on what I'm doing out here, it will have to move. So like when I'm watering things over here, it needs to go over there. But I still need to be able to get at my watering table. So we can turn it round that way. Yeah? And then when I want to get at the few plants that are over there, it can just push over here. But initially, all that's going to happen is that this, so I've just got a fear that one day one of these is going to tip over and everything's going to fall off. So I always move them very, very carefully. For now, when I'm not watering anything, job done. That's all it needed. Now that might not all be permanent, but I think for now that's probably the best bet. Church bells. Well, it is a Sunday, I suppose. Now that is quite pleasant. I've actually lived in a place where the church bells used to fire up at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and they were practicing, which meant it wasn't pleasant at all, because there was bum notes all over the place and it was horrible. Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. And probably for half a mile in every direction, everybody's got to put up with it, whether they like it or not. Anyway, so I think that'll do for now. And then this goes either here where I'm standing or there, depending on what I'm doing. And when I'm watering my mounts, again, I can water this side, swing it round, do the other side, and do the two sides of the other one. So I think that's okay. It's now actually easier to get at this rack because the shelves aren't in the way. So that's made life easier for a start. Yeah, so I think that's okay. Just swing this round a bit. That'll do. Right, so we've moved house. Right, next thing, the forms to do with selling the house and stuff like that are still out on patrol, unfortunately. I'm a trifle annoyed that somebody couldn't have put a little bit of effort in, but so be it. I got the forms, my part completed. I had to print them off, make sure that the other three understood what they were doing, do all that sort of thing, and then I got them round to my sister, who promptly got her bit done. She then got them to my brother, who promptly got his bit done, which leaves the other sister, who still hasn't done the thing. Apparently, well, first of all, there was a car issue on the planned visit, because she lives quite a long way away, fair enough. Well, I say a long way away, it's an hour and a quarter in a car. It's not the end of the world, is it? But car troubles, unpredictable. Yeah, so fair enough, fair enough. And then the following week, oh, we're away on holiday. Now it's the Easter weekend. Yeah, so apparently she'll be coming into the Bournemouth office on Tuesday, at which point the forms can be done. And then if they can be got back to me, hopefully I can get everything off in the post on Wednesday next week, and right, that's it, things move. That'll get the shares sold, and that's like a sort of next day sort of process. They look at the forms, check that everything's been filled in correctly. If so, they sell the shares, as brokers do, and send a cheque in the post probably the following day back to me. And a little post office around there, I can cash the cheque in there, or pay the cheque in, sorry. So that'll do, you know. So we've lost nearly a fortnight. It's the knock-on effect. That means we're now into May, which means there's another lot of bills to pay for the other house. That's another 250 quid that we shouldn't have had to pay, really, because it should have all been done by then. Still, it's not in my control. So that's that. Yes, what else? The ghost video. It's complicated. Well, it's not really, not for me it's not, but it might sound complicated. Some people watched a video that wasn't there. If you went to my homepage and clicked on videos, and all the videos come up that I've ever done, it wasn't there. It didn't exist. And yet they just watched it. A conundrum. It's not really. That video at that point in time was loaded onto YouTube but was not made public. So it existed on YouTube but you couldn't see it. But I inadvertently put it as an end link on another video. Well, when a video is on YouTube and it's not public, the only way you can see it is if you've got the link or you own it. Well, I own it, obviously. And by putting it as an end screen on another video, people could click on it, which is the link. So they managed to get to that video even though it couldn't be seen. So some people watched it before it was actually published. I've never done that before. It was an oversight, not a mistake as such, just an oversight. I hadn't given it a thought. And all it was what really happened was I had two videos and I decided to post them the other way round, if you see what I mean. So the one that should have been first ended up being second, if you see what I mean. So that's what happened. The ghost video. I can imagine that was quite like, but this, I can't, you know, when did that, can understand, I got emails about it. Anyway, that's what happened. It was an unlisted video on YouTube, and the only way to get at that is via the link. And I'd forgotten that the link was the end screen on another video, so that's how it happened anyway. Probably never happen again. And that could have happened and nobody noticed. But it shows to me that some people are actually viewing the end screens. You know, when the video comes to an end and you get that pop-up of something else to watch, some people are actually using it. That's good stuff. Yeah. Right, that's that. Let's have a look at some orchids. We're not doing a big long one today. Now, what I'm looking for is changes. Nothing much going on over there. Stuff in growth. We can have a look at, of course now to get at stuff I'm going to have to start moving things, aren't we? Well, this was always on the cards. This is not a nuisance, it's just come to pass. It was always in the plans. Right, so now we haven't seen this one, and it hasn't bloomed for me before. It produced some spikes a while ago, well last year I presume, and they aborted, so it never bloomed. Well, this time it's going to bloom, and it's got very, very spread out buds that this spike is still extending. There's another one tucked in here, and they're tiny, so I'm not quite sure what to expect from this, quite honestly. It's Anachelium pachycephalum, which is probably a Prosthetia in the real world. Well, it was a Prosthetia that's been reclassified. It's that way round, I suspect. But it's one of Jeff's plants. It came from Jeff's, and yeah, so it'll be a first-time bloomer, and it'll be interesting to see what that's actually like. But looking at what that spike's going to look like, I don't think the blooms are going to be very impressive somehow. It's one that I'm not looking up. I want that to be a surprise. As I say, it's never bloomed before, and until I got it I'd never heard of it. So I want it to be a surprise. So we're not looking it up, we will just let it run and see what we come up with. So this plant's got some scale on it. Adults. Only a couple, but don't take many, does it? You have to get at that. Well, weather's getting better, days are longer, you know. Better for the orchids, better for the bugs as well, unfortunately. Right, so that's that one. An unusual name, but as I said, I think it's a reclassified Prosthetia. That's trouble with that word. And should be in bloom, well, I don't know how long, because I don't know how big those buds need to be before they actually become blooms. So that's that. This up here is also a non-bloomer, and it's becoming a little annoying because it hasn't bloomed. It's obviously blooming size, and what is it? Something or other, Encyclia? Lanipes, or something like that. I think it's Encyclia. But it's got nice new growth coming here, and another new growth coming here. And it grew nice new growths last year, but it hasn't bloomed. I don't even know where the spikes would come from. It grows, but it's not just a non-bloomer. I don't know what it's going to take. It gets good light. It's not like it's short on light. But I was, somebody asked, some lazy individual asked me if I knew anything about a dendrobium, because there was hardly any information on the internet. I typed the name in on Google and a wealth of information came up, including Travaldo.blogspot, which had a very detailed explanation of that plant and how to look up for it, how to look it up. But do you know what came up in there? A statement that rings true, and I've suffered it a few times. It was classed as a dendrobium that in cultivation very rarely lasts more than 3 or 4 years. It just progressively goes downhill, slowly but surely. And it's difficult to find out why. And I've had 2 of those, Harveyanum and my Senilli, Mr. Hairy. And they've both done that. Mr. Hairy's done it twice. I've had 2 separate plants and they've been doing okay and then they just go downhill. Harveyanum was doing okay, bloomed well, and then just went downhill. And I've had some others. I had, a long time ago I had, because I remember those things, Trigonopus. That was growing okay and then it just stopped and then went downhill. So it happens, unfortunately. And it looks like there are some dendrobium species that put up with not being right for a while, but they're not really putting up with it. They are going downhill slowly but surely. And then eventually they fail. It's going to be something, probably something not even that large, something quite small that's just not right. And it niggles at them and niggles at them until eventually they go downhill. But trust me, if you put a species name into Google, you will find information. You don't need somebody else to do it for you. Just need to put a little bit of effort in now and again. I have to do it, you know, I had to look it up and find out that that information was good information. I don't like putting links to other people's stuff if I haven't sort of checked it out myself. So I had to go and look it up and use some of my time, but it's done. I mean, I don't mind helping people out, don't get me wrong, but you know, that information was readily available. It wasn't difficult to find. That's what I'm getting at. We've got my Ivanagara apple blossom buds are pushing on nicely now, showing some colour. Nuisance plant this is. Now it could be that it hasn't got the best of root systems at the moment. It's still getting going again after the root issues that the Cattleyas had. But that spike should be longer. And if it was longer, the buds would clear the leaves. But they're not going to clear the leaves, are they? They're going to be tangled in amongst the leaves and they'll tangle in against each other as well. So it won't look as good as it should do. Which is a shame because they are absolutely gorgeous blooms and the base of that plant has got a lot of scale on it. I think we're going to have to start routine spraying again. Get the old hippie soap out and give that a go perhaps. Nice shiny leaves if nothing else, even if the bugs don't die. Right, that's that one. There wasn't anything else up there in the Cattleya arena. And another thing that is odd is there's 2 of these and each of them has 2 in the pot, so there's 4 plants altogether. Sold as Sharry Baby, not in bloom, but an impressive plant. Better and bigger than any other Sharry Baby I've ever seen. So I thought we'll have that and see what it does. And this one, big fat mature bulbs, is growing a new growth. But this is a new growth as well. And it's matured. I don't think it's going to get a huge amount bigger. It's got a nice big bulb in there. It didn't bloom. No spike. And that's joined on to other large bulbs. So it's not like the plant is short on resources. They're all nice big plump bulbs. There's another new growth starting there as well, so it's growing okay. It's done the roots in the pot. It didn't have many roots, it has now. So that's that one, still no spike. And then the other one, which was the smaller version. Again, this is 2 plants in the pot. Both of them have got a new growth. We've got a big new growth here, and then another one starting here. And this one started pushing out the roots, and then they appeared to be failing, so I put some moss round, and they have green tips on them, but they haven't progressed down in the pot like the other one has. So this is the weaker of the 2 potfuls. But you know, I'd expect new growths on a plant that size of Shari Baby type to bloom, and no sign of anything yet. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But it's not like they're not getting enough light in here. These will tolerate higher light than a lot of my other Oncidium types. How do I know? Look at the colour of the leaves. They're a deep green. They will take more light. If this starts to get too much light, that they will pale, and they're not doing it yet. So they're fine. Okay so far, as they say. My Jenkinsii, believe it or not, it hasn't been open that long, and some of the blooms are starting to go. But this is the end that didn't get the light 2 winters ago. Got a bloom trapped there, a spike trapped. I don't think that's going to escape and open. It got caught behind a leaf. But this end bloomed very well because it didn't the year before. So that's what it should look like all over the plant. That's what it should look like, basically, not a smattering like that. But this is going to have to come off of this mount now because it's running out of space. And I was going to say I'm waiting for new growths to start, but they are starting. There are signs of new growths coming out, so we will have to get on with that. What I want to do is find the bits that are most likely to be producing new growths, and these old bits back here that have become leafless, that are going to occupy the whole of the centre of the mount. I just want those bits gone, so that what's left is, you know, stuff that's going to grow on. I'll probably reuse the same mount, it won't hurt. So that's that. What else? All of my Miltonias, I think, are getting too much light. They are very, very pale, but then that is their normal colour. They are a pale green as a natural sort of thing. You're going to stay there. Even though they're mobile, I mean, at some point or another I will get something more sturdy, because these are not very sturdy at all. They're very... The problem is the weight is at the top, and you know, that's not how they're designed to work. Oh, my little Sologeny Nitida, the second spike is open now. So that's a very, very nice cluster of Sologeny blooms now on that little plant. It's a new plant. I got that from Arthur Burnham's at that was at the Wessex show, so about a month ago. But they've opened up nicely, and this is fragrant. It's very fragrant, and I've got a problem that other people don't seem to have, because I don't find that pleasant at all. It smells like cat pee. And I know very well what that smells like. I live with it. That's not nice. Now I remember I had one of these before, and I also had another fragrant plant, and they opened in close proximity right where I was watering, and I felt ill. Obviously the pheromone, well, not pheromones, whatever fragrance is, you know, is a chemical in the air, I presume. Those two plants reacted with each other and produced something horrible, and I had to separate them. I had to put one over one side and one over the other side. Blue corner, red corner. That's not nice. It is not nice. Sorry for all the other people who think it's wonderful, but I don't. It's not nice at all. But yeah, my Miltonias, just as a general look. Now, don't get old leaves that are dropping off confused with the general colour of the plant. These are old leaves. They will just lift off, probably, with a bit of help. But what we're looking at is this, you know, these leaves are going to stay there for this year, and they're very pale. And then you've got the newer leaves, so this was last year's growth here, and now we've got the real new growths coming on, and on this one quite a lot. Each new growth last year has produced 2 this year, and in one case 3. So if they all bloom, that's going to be one mass blooming. But those leaves look pale to me. We shall see what happens. But they're on a top shelf. They're on a high shelf at the moment. Come on, you want to go out? You want to go out? Biscuits. Come on then. You want to go out? This is what I was hoping, was that they would ask to go out. Come on then. The idea being that out there somewhere becomes the toilet, not in here. But there will be times, like overnight, I'm not here, you know, so they've still got to have their indoor facilities, obviously. But that's what I was hoping, that they get to the point where they ask to leave the room in their own way. And I'm quite happy to shut the door while they're out there now. That first day, as soon as I walked towards the door, they hurried with me. They didn't seem to want to be out there on their own. They'll grow used to it, you know, it's only a few days since they first went out there. So, I mean, Elvis is just sitting there now, because I didn't go out with him, he's wondering what to do now. Over here, we've got Nesta, will be out in bloom soon, with a grand total of 6 blooms. Not 26 or 36, 6. Very, very poor blooming on that this year. And that's because of the disturbance it had remounting it. But I wanted to show this. Somebody spotted this in the corner of another video and said, look at that Lindleyi. Well, let's have a look at it then. What I like about this one, I need to put this around the other side of the shelf, quite honestly, is it seems to bloom from anywhere. Not necessarily the previous year's growth. Seems to decide to bloom from anywhere. But I need to get this pointing at the best light to pull the spikes all out of the front of the plant. Because I mean, I've got one here that's heading backwards. But yeah, we've got that spike heading backwards, then we've got this one here, the one tucked in there that's just come out, that wasn't there last time I looked, this one and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 there, 1 there, 5, and 1 down the bottom here that I'd missed. Did I count that one? I don't know. Well, 5, maybe 6. And what I like about this is that as you see the spikes progressing, you sort of think to yourself, oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus buds on that, and that will be down here. You know, that will be 10 centimetres long at least, maybe 15, with all of those lovely yellow blooms. Blooms very similar to Jenkinsii, but on a long pendulous spike. And with that number of spikes on that size plant, because that's not a large plant, I reckon that's going to look pretty good. But I need to put this around the other side of the rack so that it faces the dominant light. And then it will pull those spikes forward. They will grow to the light. And then we'll have them all around the front of the plant rather than that one which is heading around the back at the moment. So something needs to change places. And an easy one to change places with is the Primulinum variety Laos, because the blooms have gone, so this now doesn't need bright light. It's already started its new growth, so we've got 1 there, 1 there, so we're going to have at least 2 new canes, which is good. And that now doesn't need the light. It doesn't need bright light to grow. It needs the bright light in the winter to bloom in the spring. So that can come round the back. this can go around the front and try and pull those spikes towards the light. And then that should make that look a lot better when it does actually get round to blooming. And I showed you this, but it's a poor blooming. It's only one bloom, but the depth of colour on that. This is Lynn's fault that I've got this. It's going to be very difficult to show you this. It's a very tiny bloom. These are not big, but the colour and that really deep red lip, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I think future bloomings, because this is the oldest, spindliest sort of cane on the plant, and it's its first bloom as well. So this is its first bloom as a plant. Quite honestly, it's a young plant, you know, a young division. But obviously, I've grown this one, and this one's still growing on. In fact, this one's still growing. So those are future blooming canes as time goes on. But I think this is supposed to be a cluster type dendrobium. So not a single bloom, it should have a cluster. And a cluster of blooms that colour is going to be quite something. So where did that come from? Well, it's not going back where it came from, it's going back somewhere else. Mainly because Lindley need some space around there to let those spikes hang down, not brush up against things. Another dendrobium that's, this is my Lodogesiae kikis that didn't grow much last year, but they sort of got themselves established, some of them died back. But we've got new growth starting here now, so they are going to grow this year, and we've got a bud, believe it or not, one little bud on a kiki. Yeah, there's another new growth there, there's one there. So they are going to grow on this year, and hopefully we'll get some reasonable sized canes and then get a nice mat of these established. It'll take a while. I mean, I knew that when the mother plant went to somebody else and I decided to just keep the kikis, it was going to be quite a while before anything happened. And we haven't looked at this for a while. This was my silliness. I put a Masdevallia on the mount, which means it dries. I mean, that is totally dry. I've got to go around with a sprayer in a minute because I'm not watering today. I'll water properly tomorrow, but I'll just give them a squirt so that they're... But this is totally bone dry, and it was dry yesterday as well, and it still grows. So this business of constantly moist, yeah, maybe not. Mind you, I think reasonable humidity in here. But yeah, that seems to be growing okay, sort of, I suppose. We've got this one to come soon. The colours are showing on the buds now, so we've got this one to come very soon. It's odont type intergeneric. It's got no ID, but it looks very much like tiger tail, but it isn't. I bought them both at Burnham's at the same time as gone over bloomers sort of thing to bring home and grow on again, which they seem to have done. The other one bloomed a while back, that's recently finished, that was tiger tail, and this is the other one that's similar, but they're not the same. If you put a picture of the two blooms next to each other, you can see they're not the same. But there's another nice strong new growth coming out here. I think there were two plants, can't remember. But yeah, we've got that to come. They last a reasonable amount of time as well. I think that's the only Oncidium type with a spike at the moment. Everything else is doing green stuff. I'd love to show you my... can I get at it, is it? We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Only it's right up the back. Literally. Which means I'll have to lift it right up over the top of my disappointing dendrobium. Right, this is my Dendrobium Victoria Regina. Again, I got this from Burnham's. This took a bit of badgering actually to get this plant because Burnham's have got probably a dozen or so specimen sized versions of this. They are enormous in great big baskets, and when they're all in bloom they tend to bloom at the same time. It's a total spectacle. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I kept on at Sarah, when are you going to split them up then? Oh, I don't know, we'll do one day. And I got my name in the book, like, you know, if you ever split them up, find a nice bit for me, and I don't care what I pay for it, because I've had so many disappointments. But what we've got here is a cluster on this cane that's looking quite good. I need to cut that bit of string. Oh, my scissors aren't out here. I can't reach them from here. I must remember to cut that bit of string, because these canes need to separate now, or the buds are going to knock against each other. They'll probably hold themselves up right now. That was to hold the plant still while it rooted. Well, I think it's done a reasonable root system now. Yeah, it's done a reasonable root system. So we've got this cane over here with its cluster. This cane has got two big clusters on, and this little cane behind it has got three just starting. So they'll follow on. So this is going to be in bloom for quite a long time once these come out, and the buds are showing colour now, so they won't be too long before they open. And then it's doing that on the cane that I grew, the big long one. It's decided to push buds right out the top. I don't think I've seen it do that before. So this is a keiki. But it's not growing roots, so it's going to have to stay on the plant. It's literally it started about a third of the way up of my new cane, the one that I've grown. It started about a third of the way up, and it's grown into quite a large cane. I mean, that's a blooming size keiki. As long as it stays on the mother plant, it probably wouldn't bloom if it was separated. So yeah, blooms to come on that. Spent many years waiting to get those blooms in my grow room, and had many failures. I had one that came from a very popular nursery in its day in Poland because of the choices they had. But then people started realising that the plants you got weren't so hot, and the first one I got from there was dead. Oh no, that's what they're like. Not this time of year, they're not. They might not have any leaves in the middle of winter, but not this time of year. There should be some green. So it was dead. And then I had two hybrids that weren't the real thing. I had to wait for them to bloom. One of them I got my money back, because the guy he seemed a bit upset that his supplier had given him the wrong plant. Well, that's the way he put it anyway. He could have been doing porky pies, and he knew all along, and was hoping I wouldn't kick off about it, but I did. So I got my money back. But yeah, so there are some things coming on. That Rawdon Jester should be starting into growth soon. That's been sitting there doing nothing for quite a long time. That's the one where the slug ate the whole of the new root system off, all in one go. So, oh, you want to come in? Come on then. That's what I want. I want them to get to know that they can stand at the door and look at me as if to say, I want to go out, and go out, and then come back to the door and either yowl or wait till I see them to come back in again. But as I said, they'll still have to stay in overnight. I'm not shutting them out all night long. And then we've got my little mounted Phalaenopsis spike that's pushing on. Lovely little blooms on this, little, but it's going to be quite a nice spike. You know, it's got 5, maybe 6 buds on there. They last a long time. It has actually got a name. It is Phalaenopsis hybrid. It has actually got a name, it's just not on the tag. On the tag it says Phalaenopsis hybrid, pale yellow, pink spots, magenta centre. So we've got that to look forward to, coming soon. Nothing much else that you haven't seen before. As I said, there's quite a few of the dendrobiums in bud, some of which will be first time bloomers. Most of which, quite honestly, are repeat bloomers. They'll just come again. That Natida is starting to... I was just about to blame Elvis And it's not the cats, it's not the cats at all. Yes, so that'll do for today. I've got some other things to do. And yeah, as it's Sunday, thanks to all my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, it would be nice if you did. It helps YouTube see the channel growing. That's really all that's for. It doesn't gain anything like it used to. The YouTube algorithm has been totally rewritten. It's quite different now. It's all about the views and staying power nowadays. So it's all about watching a video from start to finish, or letting it play from start to finish if you haven't got the time to watch it. And I didn't say that. And it's also about staying where you are. So when you've watched a video on a channel, YouTube knows if you're new to the channel because you found it in a search, or you found it in one of those displays down the side, the things that YouTube thinks you might want to watch. If you come to a video from there, YouTube latches onto you and watches what you do next. Now if you arrive and disappear quickly, it's like a black mark against the channel, because you didn't retain that viewer. You lost them. Yeah. However, if they not only stay with you, but then watch another one, YouTube goes, "Whoa, we like your channel a lot." So that's the way the algorithm's working now. It's the people who watch and how long they stay, the retention. Yeah. And do they move on to another channel? That's good. At least they've stayed on YouTube and haven't get off to Facebook. You see what I mean? YouTube wants people to come and stay, as if they haven't got anything else to do all day long. But that's the way the algorithm works now. So the views are the important thing. And as I said, watching a video from start to finish is real brownie points, even if you're not actually sitting there watching it. Hint, hint. And if you're like me, I can have several windows on the go at any one time, and I might be watching one and listening to another one. So yeah. Anyway, that's what it's all about. And yeah, thanks to the people who've stayed with the Patreon stuff. That's ticking along nicely. I haven't had many new ones for a while now, but the ones that I've got seem to be staying with me. So that's good, I like that. And the buy me a coffee just pops up every now and again. You know, I get an email that says somebody bought you 3 coffees, or somebody bought you 5 coffees. Woohoo! But just buying me a coffee, you know. So those are working nicely. And as I always try and remember to say now, is that if you're watching this video, it is shareable. You know, you can share it on other platforms like, well, I presume Instagram, definitely Facebook. So the video can be shared for others to see in your environment, if you see what I mean. So it's always worth remembering that a share gets it under the noses of people that wouldn't necessarily have seen it otherwise, and that's all good stuff. And those could be new people that join in our little community, our little people who stick with this channel. And thanks for all your comments, they're always welcome. Keep me busy first thing in the morning. At that time of day I haven't actually got anything else to do, it's appreciated. Although now the lighter mornings are coming in, you know, not my first coffee because it's not light enough and it's still a bit nippy in the mornings, but you know, soon my second or third coffee will be outside with the cats in my dressing gown, having a look, see what the garden's up to. So yeah, all good stuff. Thanks for dropping by. See you next time. Don't forget, suggestions for videos are always welcome. And you've also got, even though I might have done a video before, like some years ago perhaps, it doesn't mean to say it can't be repeated, because my thoughts on certain plants and some of my methodologies do change over the years. So what I might have said 3 years ago might be a bit different if I did it again. So suggestions are always useful. And in the not too distant future, I'll be setting up a new questions and answers, leave your questions under this video type thing, like we did last time, just a short video to say that this is where you put all your questions and then we'll do the answers without quite such a big gap this time. I'll remember to get onto it this time around. But yeah, we'll do another one of those probably later this week, maybe. And yeah, that'll do for now. And hope you're having a good Easter, quiet or not, whatever you've chosen to do. And what I really hope is that you're not sitting looking at the bumper of the car in front of you and you haven't moved for an hour and a half. Because unfortunately in this country there's a lot of that goes on over the Easter weekend when the old current bun's out. Everybody's off, right, let's go for a walk in the woods. And you come out your gate and you go, oh, everybody else has decided to go. If you're going to go for a walk, go for a walk. But the trouble is, you know, you live in a town or a big estate or anything like that, you need to go somewhere before you can have a nice walk, if you see what I mean. So out comes a car, into the queue of the traffic, queuing up for every set of lights, every roundabout. Ugh. That's why I'm staying in over Easter and not going out. The only going out I'm doing is out of that door, which is it's such a pleasure. It really is nice to just walk out there with a coffee, stand in the sunshine or sit or whatever. It's really nice. I'm appreciating it. And the fact that I'm appreciating it, I'm probably going to do more work on this garden than I ever did on the other one, even though this isn't mine. Well, the other one wasn't mine either. But this is viewable, that's the difference. Without shade netting all over the glass, I can see my bonsai, I can see the garden, I can watch the birds on the feeders. It's all one, it's all become one, and I like it like that. Anyway, I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. And don't forget those suggestions for videos, they're always welcome. See you next time, bye for now.